Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Live Healthy Now. I'm joined today by the gorgeous Wendy Molyneux, who is here to chat all things energy, which is something I'm really excited to delve right into with Wendy today. Wendy is a homeopath. She has over 25 years experience, and she's also a business abundance coach. And she's here today to explore why your energy is everything when it comes to building strong health and happiness. So welcome to the podcast, Wendy.
Oh, thank you, Nicola. It's lovely to be here. I'm a bit nervous because I've never done anything like this before, but
Ooh,
hey, the
podcast
energy will see me
Jimmy.
through. And well done for
Exactly.
pronouncing my really difficult surname right.
It's a lovely surname. So, to kick us off, Wendy, I'd love to just hear from you about what your most impactful healthy habit is.
Oh, my life. Okay, so I knew that you asked people these things, but then I forgot to think about it. Um, do you know what? Actually, I think we share some mutual coaches, the wonderful Donna and Cheryl. And I think the most impactful thing for me is, I won't use the language that Donna uses around it, but just put your freaking phone down in the morning, particularly. So I've always, I have some good habits and quite a lot of pretty bad ones, but one of my good ones is to charge my phone downstairs. So I don't have my phone by my bed ever. But what I also do is I don't pick it up in the morning until I've done my morning routine. Now, that morning routine might be 2 minutes, frankly, or it might be a little bit longer and a bit of yoga and some good stuff, but I don't pick my phone up. And I think that habit, for most people, if they could get into that, would really, really help to transform some lives, because so many people just rush downstairs, pick it up from beside their bed. I mean, all those rays are all around your head all night. I don't need to go on about that, but I think that, to me, is probably the single most important thing, because I used to just go straight on it. Who wants to be in touch, whatever. So yeah, I think that would be it.
That's a
Do you have
brilliant
your
habit.
phone
And
by your bed?
I do, but I did implement a habit in November in 2022, and I stopped using the phone for the news. I was on the Daily Mail app religiously every night and every morning. If I was traveling away from work pre-COVID days, I could lie in the hotel bed for like 2 hours, not going to sleep, just scrolling UK showbiz, US showbiz, like rubbish. And as soon as I was woken in the morning, but not obviously wanting to wake up, I'd pick the phone up as a way to help me wake up. And giving that up was the best thing that I did. So I completely get what you're saying. I mean, I have my phone there because I go to the loo in the night and I just tap the screen, to give a little bit of light. But my phone goes on do not disturb after 9:30 on an evening. So I don't have notifications, and I'm pretty good, I'd say. Maybe like, I don't know, 85, 90% of the time I don't look at social media or anything once I'm in bed. Odd times I do, we're human. But yeah, definitely on the morning has been a really big thing where I don't check social media or anything, I just don't look at any apps on the phone. It wakes me up and then that's it. And that has definitely been a game changer as well for my mindset and mood in starting the day the right way. So yeah, it's brilliant. I think going that next step to take it out of the room would be a good thing. And I definitely need Kev, my partner, to hear this, because he's the opposite of me. He's on his phone, and so yeah, I'm always trying to look. I'm like, keep those rays out of my eyes.
Yeah, get those rays away from me. No, I mean, there was some ghastly research with teenage girls, who they can put, I know, it's put their phone in their bra, like literally tuck it in their bra when they've got their skimpy tops on or whatever. And there was a girl who literally had a breast tumor that was phone-sized,
Oh my
phone-shaped.
God.
And that was enough. I mean, there's a lot of research. Kev, you go and look at the research. If you're doing your masculine, I won't be told thing, go and look at the research. Yeah, no, it's up to everybody. And there's so much good on the phones and social and connection. And there's tons of really good stuff. but it just needs to get into balance, and it really can, affect everything very badly. And I think COVID also did a huge favour in terms of the news. I mean, as soon as it started and all that kind of doom and gloom every night, I thought, oh, I can see where this is going. So I literally just stopped the news, stopped watching it on day 2, and haven't never watched the news since.
Yeah.
It's on. I have the radio on. I know what's going on. I wouldn't want to be that disconnected that I didn't have a clue. But life is so much happier without the news. I used to be a news junkie, but yeah,
Not
so
anymore.
much happier.
Yeah, I must
Anyway,
admit,
sorry, we've probably gone off
no,
God knows what tangent,
this is
but
great.
anyway, never mind.
I know, I love this because this is about finding out what works for someone else, and we always, funnily enough, get very different answers when people answer this first question. But no, I agree with the news as well. During COVID, I was obsessed with the news. I never used to watch the TV after work, but I was there for those live, updates and seeing the statistics. God, it was, painful.
Awful.
And giving up the news for me has been huge. And actually, I don't look really at any news. I see odd things on social media. And if there's something big, which we've had, a few things obviously big happening and continue to happen in the world, I might check in now and again. But honestly, I've made a personal choice to not do that. And for me, it's been a big game changer. So, yeah. And
so
it's things
much
like this,
aren't you?
Exactly. I think this is what I try to share with people for lots of different types of habits and tools you could use for yourself, is that being healthy isn't a result of those very few typical things everyone automatically navigates towards, like what you eat and working out in a gym. And there's so many different ways you can support your health. And for me, not looking at the news and showbiz and not using my phone on bedtime and morning first thing have really helped me. So it's good to hear that it's the same for you. So let's dive in to energy, and I'd love to get your perspective on what energy actually is, because I think for many people, when you hear that term energy, it's often thought about when you don't have any and you just apply it to that feeling of being really tired and drained. So what is energy then, Wendy?
Oh, blimey. Hang on. Let me just get my quantum physicist hat on. Oh, God.
Come
Sorry,
on,
that's a huge question.
Tell us with passion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge question. What I'm kind of all about. So energy, yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody would just think about you being flat and tired and knackered. And that ultimately what we all want is a vibrant life, and a life where we can do all the things that we want to do, and we love our life. So yes, absolutely, that there's many, many things that contribute to your energy. But the way that I view energy is very much cellular energy, because all we are is a collection of cells, and actually genuinely that is quantum physics. And there's a lot of science behind what a lot of people would see as being a little bit woo-woo, but it's all about our cells and how our cells talk to each other, and how the health of your cells is very much to do with hydration and nutrition and fresh air and exercise and all of those really good things that, as you say, everybody would naturally gravitate towards. But there are many other things you could do to help your cells to talk to each other. And for me, that, like I think I sort of said, health is wealth, but cellular energy is true wealth, because it is about how those cells talk. So, take a big old horrid old virus and a virus coming in. How well your cells are is how well you will deal with that. And, for me, ill health and imbalance is very much an individual thing, because you can get 10 people in the room, all of whom are exposed to the same virus, and some people will have got like a Teflon shield and it'll just bounce straight off, and other people will go down like a sack of spuds and be very, very unwell. So yeah, so for me, it's all about cellular energy. And that's very much kind of what homeopathy is all about, which is what I do. And I think in some ways, when you look at your health, you're missing a bit of a trick if you don't look at the cellular side of it. If you don't look at things like homeopathy or acupuncture or Chinese medicine or whatever alongside all of the other really good things. But yeah, I am quite kind of passionate about, most definitely passionate about the fact that I think there's a natural solution to just about everything. And certainly if I was prime minister, God forbid the country, but anyway, if I was prime minister, I would fund A&E, and I would fund necessary surgery, but there's a whole raft in the middle where I think there are natural solutions to, just as I say, just about everything. But I'm quite biased because my, excuse me, I'm just going to have to give my dog a treat while we're talking because he's decided he wants
Get the
to
dog
start
in on the
barking.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, you can give remedies to dogs. You're not supposed. I'm supposed to be a homeopathic vet. Excuse me, I'm just going to chuck some treats on the floor. Get over there and get out of my way. Deary me, how embarrassing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very passionate about it because my mum was very unwell when I was growing up. So my interest in natural medicine, I think, is my kind of gift from her, although it didn't feel that great and like a gift when I was growing up. She suffered from anxiety and depression pretty much all of her life, and the local GP at the time, many moons ago, prescribed her Valium and lithium. Can you imagine that as a teenager? So she then had a very sad dependence on chemical meds, on conventional meds. So she literally, bless her, she rattled. Our medicine cabinet at home, literally you opened it and, it all fell out. There was loads of it. So I think she had very poor health all her life because all you're doing with that stuff is just keep suppressing it. And it's not, she's not healing herself in any way. So, and she died quite early. She died at 57 from MS. So I think that led me kind of in the polar opposite direction. So I would always try and look for a natural solution to something if I can find one. I wouldn't say, you must never do this. But people have to make their own decision. But for me, if there is a natural solution, I'd like to try and find it. So yeah, that's kind of my mum's gift to me. As I say, it was tough while she was growing up, but I can sort of see that now. And I started life very much in the kind of commercial world and the world of marketing and the world of business and London and ad agencies and, very work hard, play hard. I can't say I gave natural health the slightest bit of thought then at all. I just had a lot to drink and, a very jolly life. And then I went off backpacking for a year, and it was really, I was over in Asia, and the people there are just, they have nothing materially, or an awful lot of them, but they have everything. They have everything spiritually, and there's so much to learn from the way that they think about life and health and everything else. And so I think that was very interesting, and I was supposed to be kind of away, finding myself, and I didn't. I just had a good time, but I came back, and sorry, just throwing more food for the dog. And I came back from that trip, and when I got back, my old boss sort of said, "Oh, good, you've got all that rubbish out your system. Now come and run my agency for me." And the universe had other ideas. At that coming back dinner, sat me next to his wife, who just finished training to be a homeopath at the London College of Homeopathy, and she started talking about it, and I thought, oh wow, that is so interesting. I love this. I'm fascinated. It's all about people and getting to the core of what makes people tick. And I am very nosy, not in a horrid way, but I'm so interested in people. And so I decided I'm going to do that. What's the worst thing that can happen is I'll lose my first year's fees. So I did it. And it was absolutely brilliant. And that was 25 years ago, and I'm still doing it. And I think for me, it was all about, I'm still here kind of helping people to clear those issues out of their tissues, as we say, rebalance at a cellular energy level. And help to get back to health. So that's kind of why that all started, or how that all started.
So I find not just homeopathy, but those other Eastern medicine type, modalities. So interesting because obviously they're far from being new modalities. Many of them have been around for thousands of years and, have been such an integral part of those Eastern cultures and societies, haven't they? And yet we've been so resistant to them in the West, haven't we? And obviously they've been here for a while, but in such a tiny way that for most people they don't know about them and certainly don't look to those kinds of solutions first. We've been obviously
Yeah.
conditioned to have this healthcare system that's about prescribing medicines and I think of it usually as plastering over the problem for
Yeah.
most things. We're not fixing it at the root cause. We tend to be treating it rather than solving the problem. So with homeopathy then, what exactly is it? To try and help someone who doesn't know, which includes me, very much about it.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point. You've just used the word, the right words there about plastering over and suppressing. I think for me, suppression is one of the worst things that you can do. Be that emotional suppression. You're squashing all your emotions down, and they come out somewhere. And it's the same with your sort of physical symptoms. So what? For me, I guess the best way to explain it, this whole issues in your tissues thing is a good kind of thing to log, because what happens is the cellular memory of any trauma. I'm not sure I'm mad about that word. It's become quite popular. And for me, I always think trauma sounds like you've been in a car accident or something. And it isn't. It's anything that's happened to you emotionally or physically that's caused you to not be kind of quite right now, cause some sort of imbalance. And what happens is that trauma is carried in your cells in your body, and unless you do something to clear it, it will always be there. And then when you get, say, you get a bit low about something else, that can keep kind of coming back. And a little bit like when people have glandular fever. And again, if you don't get rid of the resonance of that out of your cells, glandular fever keeps coming back, and the number of people you hear go down and say, oh yeah, that's come back again. So what I'm trained to do is look for what we call NBWS symptoms, never been well since. So like when the rock or the pebble went into the pond and caused ripples, whatever that might be. And it could be that it's something quite traumatic, like as I say, an accident or a loss, or maybe bullying or a tricky relationship, whatever. Or it could be something that sounds really like a really positive thing, like maybe the birth of a child, but actually it's caused a lot in your life, like especially if you're a mum and you have a C-section where you've just had a major operation, and then you're expected to suddenly bounce into action and look after this gorgeous little bundle and know what you're doing. Like, who the hell does know what they're doing? No one, I don't think. So what happens then is all the emotions start to get suppressed, and they can then come up with they can then form as different symptoms later. So maybe that's stress or low mood or panic attacks or grief that just is there and never goes. But also, because when you suppress things emotionally, it reduces your energy. So it can lead to physical symptoms like low immunity or poor sleep or inflammation, which is what underpins every chronic disease. So that's why it's kind of really important to listen to your symptoms, because it's your body's way of telling you that something's going on. And symptoms in the Western medicine model, or the conventional medical model, symptoms are something a bit like whack-a-mole, that you suppress. Let's suppress it with a drug or a vaccine or this. Let's suppress all this stuff. But actually, it's your body letting you know that there's something going on underneath, and you need to get to that root cause and deal with that root cause. So that's kind of the background picture. And then I think that I often find that people who are doing all the right things, and as you said right at the beginning, have got all these healthy habits, can be quite stuck because they've never been guided to look for an emotional root cause to their stuckness. So I guess what I do is help people to sort of really listen and understand what their body is saying. And then homeopathic remedies are prescribed to support individual emotional rebalancing. clear the issues in those tissues, however far back that they go. So what homeopathy does is it stimulates the vital force, or the or prana or chi or life energy or whatever you want to call it, but the energy within your body to heal itself at this cellular energetic level. So you select remedies on the basis of a principle of like attracts like, or like cures like. So that basically means that if you had a substance that causes symptoms in a healthy person, if you get that same substance in a highly diluted and an energized form, that can treat similar symptoms in a sick person. So like attracts like. So a good example is coffee. If you drink too much coffee, then you can be restless and your mind's overactive and you might not sleep very well. But the homeopathic remedy made from coffee, so it's called Coffea cruda, strange name, but anyway, is curative for symptoms related to heightened mental activity, overstimulation and insomnia. So you're using coffee in a homeopathic form to treat the symptoms that coffee in a physical form might cause. That's sort of a very basic, and there's more to it than that. So another example is like onion. If you're chopping an onion, you get very watery eyes and snotty nose and sneezing and all of that. And there's a remedy called allium cepa, which is made from onion, which is often associated with the symptoms of common cold and hay fever. So those sort of watery eye symptoms. So that's kind of the way that it works. And remedies are made from a whole different array of substances. But I guess another thing to sort of log is that it can really treat anything that's causing imbalance, from really deep emotions to symptoms of, a serious systemic condition, like say if you had heart palpitations, right the way through to broken leg. There's a remedy made from knit bone, or comfrey, which used to be called knit bone, which knits a broken leg back together more quickly. So all it's doing is going in and encouraging your body to heal itself, because that's what your body was designed to do. So your body recognizes what's come in and goes, yeah, okay, I need to now, move to this healing place. So there's over 1,000 different homeopathic remedies, which is why probably the thing you'll hear me say most often is, I feel like a boring stuck record. It's like, there's a remedy for that. There's a remedy for that. Because I also combine them. I have a special machine I make them on. So I combine 5 together in one. So if you've got 1,000 different individual ones, I can't even work the maths out. But anyway, there's a shed ton of different remedies for different things.
Wow. And can I just ask them, thinking about the ingredients themselves, these things, I take it everything is very natural. It's from different sources. You've mentioned a few things, but are the sources different plants? Is it oils that are created? Like, what exactly are the ingredients?
No, what's actually created are little tiny pilules, and this is where it gets a bit, it's kind of trickier to understand, but the energetic resonance of the substance, because everything has a resonance, everything has an energy, everything has a different energetic picture, is imprinted into the little pilules. So that's all you get. They taste like, my kids loved them when they were, my kids literally, when they were a day old, had them, thrown in their mouth. I chuck them in the dog's mouth, whatever. But yeah, they're just tiny little pilules, and they just contain the energetic picture of whatever the substance may be that's been proven to help with a particular thing. So there's a really wide range. There's lots and lots of different things to prescribe
and so
from.
then in
so
the yeast,
take.
And so I'll talk about my experience. So Wendy helped me recently, and I've been taking one of these. What do you call them? Not pills, but
pilules, remedies. Remedies. Call them what you like.
Yeah. The remedy. Yeah, so remedy. I like that word. But so in the East, is this one of the most common ways that they're treating people and helping people to be healthier?
Yeah, it is, alongside acupuncture and using essential oils and all manner of things. It's very popular in big parts of Europe. Germany particularly is very strong on homeopathy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's really
yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, and
Mhm. It
it can work. It absolutely can work alongside. I'm not kind of, anti. I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't do it, but I'm not anti conventional meds. Everybody must do what they must do. And I think, our GPs and nurses and everything have a hell of a task on their hands with the way that the system has been, has sort of been set up. But homeopathy can very much work alongside conventional meds, because homeopathy works, as I said, at an
Mhm.
energetic level. Conventional stuff works at a very physical level. So the two things can sit by side,
Yeah.
quite happily. And I think to clear everything and to be in good health, you need to work on both things.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah, so
so
that's
we
and that
kind of, yeah.
it's yeah. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Wendy. I was just going to say, like, parking the remedy piece of homeopathy aside, what you started talking about and what the principles of homeopathy are that you explained around the energy balance, and really having that awareness of what may be affecting you and your balance and energy, I guess is the ultimate message we're sharing, isn't it? If people really understanding that this is something that can be a play impacting you and how well you feel. And there are ways, obviously, you can support yourself through this, which doesn't have to mean taking a homeopathic remedy.
Yeah.
There are other things, like you said, there's all different types of healing modalities and counselling, therapy, coaching and everything. But it's really about identifying what might be that reason for that issue, rather than just trying to temporarily plaster over it as we might usually do.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's so much about listening to your heart. And what got me into this whole coaching world, because there's a whole stack. Homeopathy is just something I've kind of done for years, but now I'm in a whole world of kind of coaching and coaching businesses and everything else. And it is about the quote that got me started in all this is a woman called Rebecca Campbell, who's amazing. And she says, your head will lead you in circles, but your heart will lead you home. And it's so true. And it's
Mm.
about literally heartfulness, sitting there, listening every day if you can. Again, doesn't need to be very long at all. But now you've put your phone down, obviously, you'll have loads of much time to do it. But sitting, listening to what your heart is actually telling you, because so many people don't. They just do things because they should do
Mhm.
them, or they ought to do them, or this is what they've been told. And I think that's got so much to do with it, because that will energize you more than anything
Yeah.
else. Definitely.
That's back to our whole approach and conditioning of, when something's wrong, you fix it. Like, very practical. And this is not just with healthcare. This is with I think life in general for very developed countries, isn't it? It's this approach of, something's wrong, we have to have a solution. There must be
Yeah.
a logical way to fix this. And when it does come to your health, that's often through the conventional healthcare system and process, instead of, as you say, taking that time to listen. And certainly with my backstory, which I know you know about, Wendy, and I've shared, in lots of different ways in the podcast, but how I was with my mental health and the physical health problems I had, I couldn't piece them together at the time. They were very separate. I'm a very logical, process driven person. To me, there was a reason why I had panic attacks. There was a reason why, I was so anxious and stressed all of the time. There was a reason why I had all of the physical ailments that I was struggling with over the years and so on. And it was just like, what is that one being caused by? Let's find the fix. And I always remember when a doctor said to me, this was many years ago, probably in the peak of what was happening, he said, you do know that what you're struggling with physically is being caused by you and your mental health. And I was just like, no. And I thought he was saying that I was making it up, that I was imagining I was having a migraine every day, for example. That was one of the things that I
Mm.
had for about 3 months, and felt like I'd had a stroke. And it was only when I then worked on myself and did the personal development and came into this space that it just clicked into place. And I was like, oh my God, it is so connected. And that's why my main coaching program is called Mind Body, because the mind and body are so connected, aren't they? And I think that's the piece we're missing, isn't it? That checking in with actually how do we feel and what is going on and what might be causing this, and knowing that it might not be that typical route we've been taught to look at, that it could be something from many years ago. It could be something, as you said, that's actually been a good event, an occasion in your life, but has led to something within you. And I love that phrase you use, issues in the tissues. 'Cause I'm sure some people might have heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and so on. And it's all linked to that, isn't it? And again, back to that energy field of we are simply energy with this massive cells, and it is being stored there, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's very interesting, like you say about your migraines, because there's a huge link. I mean, my homeopathic remedy for migraines includes serotonin, because there's a huge link between serotonin imbalance and migraines. And if you forgive me, because I didn't know you then, but you weren't listening. So your body's going, I'm not just going to give you one migraine. Will you listen to me, Nicola? No, you won't. You're going to carry on doing X, Y, Z, and it's all physical and whatever. So I'm going to give you another migraine, and you can have another one and another one until you listen and get some help. And good for that doctor for, making that kind of connection. But it's so interesting, isn't it? I sometimes find with patients that they will get the ones who suppress the most, the ones who are in that very masculine, get shit done, I'm on top of everything all the time energy. And don't get me wrong, I'm very logical and analytical too. But I've had patient before who's had an awful facial neuralgia and facial problems because she wasn't listening. And so and it was only when she had that, everyone started saying to her, oh, you're all right. You don't look very well, because she would have just carried on until, frankly, she fell over. And her body gave her a symptom, which meant everybody else noticed too. So then she got some help. So it's interesting, isn't it? The way that it's all connected and it all works.
Definitely. And I think the key is that it's a combination approach, and it's what works best for you as well. As you've said, you've got your values and opinions, and you personally will support yourself in your health a particular way, and you guide people in the way that you do. But, it's always about, I think, putting different things together, because that's certainly, in my experience, what didn't work was just approaching it very tunnel vision with that attitude of, this is wrong, fix that. That is wrong, fix that, separate, and just looking at it individually like that. And so I think the key is that it's about really understanding what's going on, and trying to get underneath that and explore it. And as you said, with your heart, listening to that. And I'm still learning that as well. That's a big one for me that I continue to work on. And I think, none of this is ever a job done. We're always moving forward and, keeping on going with all of our habits. Otherwise, they're no longer a habit if we stop it. But, that taking time to pause and check in with yourself and feel what's going on, not just hear like the chatter and think, oh, this means that's happening. That's something which is still challenging, because I've had a lifetime of not being like that.
Yeah.
But I know that
and that's
is
why
so
sometimes
valuable,
it's very
and so
good
it's something I want to do.
To have somebody else involved who is used to getting to the core. Like I would say, I'm very intuitive and I can, read people. And I think getting to the core of what's really going on, not what they say is going on. I mean, I've been doing this for years and years, and I think that makes a huge difference. And I would never, ever say to someone, right, you've got to do it like this, or you've got to do it like that, because you have to listen to you have to meet people where they are, and kind of move forward with them. And sometimes it's very baby steps, but that's absolutely fine. It's just whatever steps are meant to be.
And so Wendy's helped me with my back. So I've had some back problems, and not to go into it all and take over the episode with it, but I've taken a multi-pronged approach with an osteopath, with taking, rest, exercising with the exercise I was given to practically do, but also to tune into my body and think about what might be going on, and use homeopathy as well. And so just to bring everything together to try to really heal it, and hopefully have solved that root cause problem, because I was at a point where it just seemed odd how many times I was having this problem flare up, which for the way that I was moving and living didn't seem to correlate, that it should be happening. So yeah, so far so good. So yeah, I'm definitely happy with it. And I've always been interested in alternative therapies and remedies and so on, which is why I like the idea of homeopathy as well. So one thing I wanted to move on to, Wendy, was, and it's still all linked, how you are about energy and what people are capable of, is this amazing quote that you have about, life giving us lemons, but you don't just make or help people to make lemonade from it. You believe we can make real lemon energy from it. We're all going to have challenges in our life. That's how it goes as humans. But the way we work through those challenges and how we handle them is something you're really passionate about helping people to be able to do, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it really is that absolute gem about don't ask why this is happening to you, but ask why is it happening for you, which is just, when you're in the middle of whatever pile of crap is falling on your head, it's like, okay, there is a lesson in here. If this was a blessing, what is it here to teach me? So that, my kind of stuff around that is all around my daughter, who's very much been my inspiration for getting into coaching. She was diagnosed in her teens with OCD and generalized anxiety disorder, and she's also now been diagnosed with ADHD. And it was really, really tense. And I'd lived a very balanced, well, my mum not being well when I was younger, but I think that made me actually have a very balanced life. And, everything was happy and I was very successful and I did lots of friends, da 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 da. And suddenly in comes this great big, oh my God, I do not know what to do here. And it was really tense and just horrid. It floored me. And I felt like a rubbish parent, really rubbish mother, let alone a therapist. I thought I'm meant to be a therapist. And I don't even know what to do with her. And she's driving me mad. And we were screaming at each other all the time. It's vile, absolutely vile time. But a really good thing it made me do was reach out for help, because I thought I can't, not most things I've been able to cope with up till then, but I couldn't. So it also made me realize that I'd spent far too long in sort of like single parent, masculine, get shit done energy, and it needed to be into much more feminine energy. So there were loads of lessons coming out of that. And I think the biggest one was that I needed to change. I couldn't change her, which is what I was trying to do. You can only focus on what you can change, which is yourself. And I needed to step into her shoes and be kinder, much kinder and much more supportive, which I think everyone who knows me outside of my daughter at the time would have said I was. But when it's a family member pushing a button, the buttons are like, so I'm sure all the, anybody who's listening or watching or whatever will kind of empathize with that, with a tricky child or a torrid teenager or a painful parent or a boss who's a bit of a twit or whatever. But from that moment when that all happened, that made me lean into all that. And from that, I created Heartfulness, which is like heart-led next generation mindfulness. It's like, this is what it's all about. You have to stop and listen to your heart, and it's got the answers. So it was great, and out of Heartfulness, I then launched a Mum Power program to help enable mums to actually put themselves first. God forbid, mums putting themselves first, oh, no, mums always put the children first, So I think an awful lot has come out of it for me because I took that view, and that was through coaching. Coaching, our dear coaches helped enormously there. And I also wrote a book about to try and help, the book that I wished that my daughter had when she was at junior school, because actually you can usually trace it back again. It's back to those issues in your tissues and what was the core. She was had a tough time at school. And if she'd known about, the law of attraction and energy and protecting yourself and listening to your heart and all those things when she was at school, I think she would have had a much better time. And I just felt kind of inspired to put down on paper what I wish she'd known about. So, so it was all great kind of coming out of a, frankly, bloody awful time. Going through it, I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just a rubbish mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, but I think it is asking that question. Why is it happening for you? What's it showing you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a phrase that I heard on a podcast with I always forget a surname. She's got a double barrel surname, Jamie Lynn. She was the founder of the It Cosmetics brand that she then sold for like, was it 60 billion to L'Oreal a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
good
she
for her.
shares her story of how, yeah, she so many times, you know, I mean, this is years of trying to build a business and failing and almost being bankrupt and being told no, 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 and thinking, you know, is this actually happening to me, or is this happening for me? And that was the first time I'd really thought about it in that way. And it's something I've tried to apply when something does feel like it's a catastrophe and it's not how you want it to be, and thinking, okay, is this happening for me? Is there a reason behind this? And I think, especially as a parent, that's something that probably will help in so many different ways, because there's so many difficult things come up with your kids and so on. And so I love that story of, I know it's obviously not anything any parent wants to have to go through and see their child struggle with, but the way you've been able to help and support her, and then create the book and the program. And I feel like you need to be going out to schools talking about this, because I've had this conversation with other people on the podcast in different ways. Like, we don't teach our kids anything about like emotions and their mind and thoughts and feelings, and that it's all normal and how to challenge them. And I truly believe, like, you know, my anxiety started at 19, and it took me, oh God, probably about 15 plus years to be diagnosed finally with generalized anxiety disorder as well. And I really do believe that my anxiety is from somewhere in my childhood, and I've done different therapy and counselling and hypnotherapy and so on. And I'm not 100% sure I've really identified it, and I don't feel like I maybe absolutely need to. I think there's enough knowledge there around why. But you're right, you know, there's things that as a child, certainly when I was growing up, you were just never exposed to anything like what we can understand and learn about our bodies and biologies like we can now. But yeah, we need you on a mission. You can be Prime Minister and you can be school minister.
Oh, another mission, yeah.
Get into the schools.
All these different soapboxes. No, it's true. I mean, I have very, very dear friend who does a lot of this work in schools, but she's a bit of a, you know, a bit of a lone voice. But it's just giving them the tools, isn't it? You know, it's giving them the tools and the understanding, and you know, and parents as well. Like, I was just used to life being, you know, quite okay. My son is so different to my daughter. He's an absolute breeze. He's a boy, so therefore, what do they need? A bit of fresh air, exercise, run around, kick a ball, hug. You know, right, done. Oh, and a bit of food. You know, and it just absolutely did that to my world view. You know, I had no idea that you know what was going on, but I think it pushed so many buttons in me, because my mum's mental health, and I think I felt like I was a bit like squished in a sandwich of, you know, an anxiety generational sandwich or something. And you know, it was all lessons I needed to learn, because I hadn't been very compassionate, you know, at all. So it's really interesting, but that question is just a killer, a corker, isn't it? It's like, you know, why is it happening for you? What's the blessing? There is a blessing in there somewhere, definitely.
And all of this is what creates energy, isn't it? And certainly I've learned massively in the last 2 to 3 years what having the type of energy I want leads to. I know that, and this is a whole other conversation about what your energy attracts and so on. But, you know, like, as we started right at the beginning with, energy is everything, because I think even if you were doing all of this stuff, you know, like these practical type of habits to have what you think is good health, there might be a reason why you don't feel the way you think you should feel because of that stuff you're doing. And, you know, that's why mindset's a huge focus of what I do, because it is all about really supporting yourself and, I guess, building this energy that then wraps the bow on the parcel, if you like, because without that, you're probably always going to be, you know, just a little bit under where you should be. So yeah, I love this. And I think your daughter's clearly very fortunate to have you supporting her and have your energy. And have you seen a huge shift in her because of what you've been able to learn
There's
yourself
a
and
huge
put
shift in our
together?
relationship. Yeah, she still struggles. She's got,
Oh.
lots of things she's working on, but there's a huge shift in our relationship. But my God, it's not perfect. Oh, no, it's not perfect at all. But I think I would agree with what you've just said, that I would say generally over all those years of practicing, that probably the emotional component of your health outweighs the physical by about 2 to 1. So if something comes in emotionally, it really blows your world apart. Whereas if something happens physically, back to that virus again or whatever, yeah, it's not great, but the emotional stuff is just really important to deal with, which is why, again, back to listening to your heart. But that's for me ultimately where your energy comes from. Dealing with the emotional stuff is really, really going to improve your physical energy too, for definite.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how it's that whole person approach. I saw this with my own mum and her health decline and how she sadly passed away. How my mum's health gave no rational reason why she died and went through the way she did at the end. And we spoke to doctors about this and so on. And I know that it was a combination of everything. Everything plays a part. It's not just those practical things, as you say, that you think of the things impacting your physical health. That is definitely whole person. So what would you give someone as kind of that one tip to get started with this, to connect into their heart and feel and listen and hear to that as part of their health toolkit?
I would say heartful breathing. So literally, I mean, I've got a little thingy that you can listen to if you want to, or literally just putting your dominant hand on your heart, on your heart chakra, putting the other hand facing upwards to receive, and literally just sit and breathe. Make sure both your feet are flat on the floor, and then literally sit and breathe as long and as low as you can, breathing in and out. And you'll find that your heart really warms up underneath your hand, which feels, a bit like that Ready Brett glow from, I'm probably so old, I'm quoting ads that people will never have heard of. But anyway, never mind. I am an advertising woman at heart. But literally do that heartful breathing 5 minutes every day if you can, just in a quiet space. For people, some people will be heavily, will be listening going, well, I'm into really heavy duty meditation and I do it for hours on end, and other people will think, what's she on about? But you can manage 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, and you find that you don't have to clear your mind. It's not about having, sitting on top of a mountain in orange robes with a clear mind at all. It's the shopping list will pop in, whatever. But you will gradually find, if you do it as a consistent practice, back to habits, your heart will start to tell you. And, it will start to tell you. And the things that are little niggles or little doubts will, if they're meant to be, will turn into great big, no, do you know what? I think I really do need to leave this job and move on, or I really do need to do this or that person's just in my heart right now. I'm just going to reach out and make sure they're okay. And then it's like, actually, they're not. You just, because again, you're just making that connection with absolutely everything out there. So yeah, literally 5 minutes. Everyone can manage 5 minutes.
Oh, I love that, because I am still working on the daily breath work, pause, listening to my body and heart. And so I love, actually, this could be how you tick quite a few boxes in one little tool that you can put into your daily
we're all
habit.
for that.
Yeah.
And actually what I do is I take a little crystal in my hand, so in between my hand and my heart, and I just that kind of anchors it in, and then you've just got that little crystal there. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, obviously rose quartz is lovely, but doesn't matter what it is. And then you've got that with you for the rest of the day. So if you're going in for, particularly tricky meeting or anything really, you've got it with you, you've got it in your pocket, chuck it down your bra, do whatever you like with it. But yeah, I think that does make a big difference.
Another tick.
Yeah, I'm full of them. I'm full of them.
I love that. I know. Yeah, well, I haven't done an episode on crystals. I'll have to do something on that as well. That's another thing I would like
Oh, you'll have to
personally
get
to
our
know a bit
Yvette on.
more. So I'm going to pop everything into the show notes. But if you want to let people know where they can connect with you, find out more, especially if they want to ask any questions about the homeopathy and the remedies and so on.
Oh, you're going to chuck it all in the show notes anyway. Yeah, just
I will. Yeah,
pop me,
just let everyone.
pop me
So
an email.
where are
Pop me
you
an
hanging out
email.
the most?
Shove me a DM. My homeopathy doesn't really tend to be on a website particularly at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of working on all that. I'm about to leave the clinic where I work and carry on with homeopathy at home, but also do a whole load of business coaching. So that's kind of more where all my stuff is. But anyway, no, just have a look in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Pop me a message. I'll get that.
All right.
We can have a little chat. Anybody wants to.
You're an energy queen, energy guru, all things, anything you're stuck on, whether it's a name for your business, a name for your program, or why you've got a pain in your backside, Wendy can help. So there you go.
Oh no, I don't do pains in the backside anymore. I stopped that a long time ago.
Oh, sorry, we can't help with that then. Yeah, just pains in the head, maybe, or your shoulder, but yeah. Oh, well, it's been amazing, Wendy. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and your energy as well.
Oh, thank you, darling. It's been lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.